Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something fascinating and maybe, let's be honest, a little unsettling too. It's the world of online public and private record databases. Okay, let's unpack this. So, the thing that immediately, grabbed our attention is this core claim. How little information you supposedly need to find out a lot about someone or a business. I mean, think about this. They say all you need is maybe a phone number, an address, or even just an email, or maybe a last name and a rough age. That's it.
Yeah, and it's the scope that's pretty wild here. These online databases, they claim they have these detailed reports on millions of people, businesses, worldwide.
Yeah.
And they say the info is, quote, accurate and constantly updated, which, suggests this practical benefit, right? You can do your own sort of detective work completely anonymously and avoid, as they put it, spending hundreds of dollars on a private investigator.
Right. And that anonymity part, that's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? This specific claim that your information, as the searcher, is never shared. It says, especially with a party you're investigating.
So our mission, really, in this deep dive is to try and understand these claims. The easy access, the anonymity, what are the implications here? So, okay, this incredible ease of access, these deep dives into records.
Yeah.
How are these databases actually pulling it off? What's really behind these claims, all this constantly updated info?
Well, yeah, it's not exactly magic, right? Mostly these databases are aggregating public records, stuff that's already out there. Think about property deeds, court filings, business registrations, even, public social media stuff. Then they often layer that with data they get from commercial data brokers. So those minimal details you give them, that's just the starting point. It's how they connect the dots, basically. Connect all these different data points to build a profile. Okay, that makes sense for the public records part. I get that. But when they talk about private record databases, what does that mean? What kind of data are we actually talking about there? Is it like super sensitive stuff? Credit history, maybe?
Generally, no. Not the really sensitive things like, say, medical records or detailed financial data. There are pretty strict rules around that kind of information.
Yeah.
GDPR, things like that. More often, when they say private, it refers to compiled demographic data. Consumer profiles, maybe past addresses you've had, old phone numbers, potentially social media activity that isn't technically a public record but is legally accessible. Stuff these data aggregators can buy.
Yeah.
It's information that is out there, just maybe not easy for an average person to piece together without these services.
And that claim about it being accurate and constantly updated, that sounds, well, incredibly difficult given the sheer amount of data. With information coming from so many different places, I mean, how reliable is it really? Are there common problems, like limitations we should know about if we were to, use one of these reports?
That is a really critical point, yeah. You have to consider that. They try for accuracy, sure, but these systems, fundamentally, they're only as good as the data they pull from. And mistakes can absolutely happen. Of course they can. You might get misidentifications or find outdated information, or maybe it connects you to records that aren't even yours just because of a similar name or, an old address. So yeah, they offer a quick start, maybe, but it's wise to remember the data is aggregated. It might not be perfect.
Gotcha. And then back to that anonymity promise, the one for the searcher. It sounds so absolute. What does that really mean in practice? Is it like a total guarantee no one, not even the person being looked up, could ever find out you searched for them?
Well, that's the core claim from the service provider. Right. They are promising not to share your search details or your identity with the person you searched for or other third parties. It's their internal policy, their commitment. But it doesn't mean your general internet activity isn't traceable in other ways. Of course not. Your IP address could still be logged elsewhere, for example.
Yeah.
So it's really about their specific promise regarding your search data within their system, not some, universal cloak of invisibility online.
Okay. So wrapping this up a bit, we've taken this deep dive into how surprisingly easy it seems to find detailed info, sometimes with just minimal starting points. We've unpacked how these huge global databases work, basically by pulling together public records and commercially available data, offering this claimed cost saving versus traditional methods. And maybe the most striking part, that promise of anonymity for the person doing the searching.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really makes you think, doesn't it? The very existence of tools like this, so comprehensive, so easy to access, and largely anonymous, it fundamentally changes how we think about personal information, its availability in, well, our very digital world.
So what does this all mean for us, for you listening, considering these claims, the anonymity, the sheer breadth of information supposedly available? What are the broader implications here for personal privacy, for information access? What really stands out to you?